Well, welcome to the panel. I am so excited to hear about sales and scaling because as a small business owner, I actually have 2 businesses and sales are an issue in both of them. You can never get too many sales. So I'm really excited for today. The first question is to please introduce yourself. What brought you into sales and how do you currently support business owners or your own business through sales?
Sure, yeah. Hi guys, like I said earlier, my name is Jess Villela. I actually have a corporate background in professional development and sales leadership and training. And like a lot of people, while I was climbing the corporate ladder, I eventually reached that elusive dream of getting to C-suite offers. And when I did, I realized that it would put me out of sort of the work-life balance that made sense for me as a mom and as a person committed to my family. So that's how I ended up doing what I do now, taking private clients and doing coaching for sales and leadership. I focus on helping leaders and founders reach that breakthrough, that next level of breakthrough by dealing with things strategically, but by also dealing with the invisible, the sort of roadblocks that you can't see when it comes to reaching your next level of revenue that really allows you to get to your goals. So that's what I focus on.
Love it. Very nice, thank you. I'm Diana, originally from Croatia. I was 22 when I came over and got myself into a world of retail because I did not have papers and that's all I could do is just work retail. So that's when the sales started. However, my mom did have a business. I worked in a business since I was 12, so I guess the sales were in my blood, or should I say they were given to me by my mom because I had to work in the business. I did stay in that retail world for very many years, so now I advise people on how to open and run a successful retail store. But somewhere out there, I was kind of sick and tired of waiting for people to come to my shop and buy from me, so I also started our wholesale business, B2B, and I'll tell you a little more about it on if you have a product-based business, how to go out there and actually get the big dollars, okay? Not just wait for onesies and twosies to be sold either in person or online. Those are also good, but I want you to make some bigger money, okay? So we'll talk about that.
Deal will take backs.
Yeah, big money, always good. First of all, if I start slouching, feel free to yell at me to sit up. That way I think my mom's in the room, so it's always good. Thank you. So sales, I guess from a young point of view, I've always been inclined to be of service to others, whether it was in the Scouts, military, or at church, etc., always trying to help out. And at some point in my life, I figured I can be of service to others selling. And as well as making money, and big money sometimes small money. So I've been in a corporate world as well for about 30 years, doing mostly technology sales at both domestic and international. Like I like to brag, I've basically run or been a salesperson or run a sales team on every continent except Antarctica. Only because I still haven't figured out what to sell to penguins. So, but after 30 years and making United Airlines happy, I finally figured out, or remembered probably, that my happiness should be first over anything else. And when I took my wife one day saying, "Hey, you're miserable. What the hell?" And then I realized, we were talking earlier, that I wasn't serving the people I wanted to serve anymore. So I started my own business this year. So I too am a solopreneur. I'm in the startup phase, which means I burn a lot of cash. And I just what I wanted to do was help small and medium-sized businesses succeed, helping them optimize sales functions, whether it's creating a better behavior of their sales organization, training, creating compensation plans, automation, etc. Bringing some of those 30 years of experience I have down to the community and helping them grow. So that's what I do.
Amazing. And I think there was a common thread here of being over the corporate life or over struggling, and entrepreneurship kind of brought that to you, right? Which is exciting, and it's inspiring, right, as the audience. So when a small business faces a stagnant sales phase in their business, what are some of the key things that they should look for and address?
I guess I'll start. Well, every business, and what this room demonstrates, there's such diversity in business and different ways to approach it. There's never one solution, but ultimately, what I would recommend to any business owner is, what are you about? We've all talked about today of what your value proposition is, your elevator pitch, whatever. Many times what I've seen during my career and now in talking to smaller businesses is they've forgotten who they're here to serve. What are they about? Are they community driven, national driven? Listen, there's nothing wrong with making money, but ultimately our moral compass has to go with that, and you have to remember what you're about. So many times I feel that is part of the core problem.
You totally stole mine. Mine would be, It's funny, like when you come to, I guess, I don't want to say certain age, you realize that yes, the sales would be nice, but it has to be some kind of alignment. And you have to be, also very mindful of, believe it or not, the lifestyle you want to lead. So what somebody else's goal and how they identify or see the success and definition of success, because sales and money, very much so in traditional ways, equals success. And it doesn't necessarily have to be. So first, ask yourself very, very, very seriously, look in the mirror and say, do I want to work a little more? Do I want to hire more people? Do I want to have a little more headache? Will that equal sales? If you up for it, then go for it, okay? But if you just want to talk traditional sales, you know that if you're in a product-based business, you'll have to crank out a little more products and they'll have to be new. So you have to chase the trends, unfortunately, all the time. Unless you're investing in human capital, which I always recommend. And that could be literally people that are out there selling your products for you. And they can be paid on commission. You don't have to pay up front. They're spreading the word. They're building a brand, and you're compensating and probably putting food on the table for them as well. So there's different creative ways to go about it.
Yeah. I want to add to what was just said, and also punctuate something that Diana just mentioned about alignment. She used the word alignment, and this is very important. So if you are in a place where you feel like your sales are stagnant, or you're not sure how you will reach that next goal or that next threshold, going back to your sales process and double checking for alignment. Alignment in terms of functionality, how your strategies are working, and also are those strategies truly aligned with the ethos of your mission? Because what happens is when those things get out of alignment, then we create more heavy lifting, we create more pressure, we create more forcing for our sales teams, for ourselves, if you're a solopreneur, for you, right? So reviewing your sales process and looking for the breakdown, and first looking in alignment to your mission, and then looking strategically. Those two things have to happen.
Wow, I wish I was taking notes.
One
Are
more.
you taking notes?
Can-
I'm taking notes. Oh, yeah, I'm filming.
Do you mind if I do just a quick one? Okay, really, the back to basics is lower your expenses and increase your prices, okay? If you didn't do the increasing prices for the last 3 years, even 2, please, I beg you, increase your prices.
Thank you for saying that. That's difficult for small business owners. So this question is for Diana, actually. For a small business that has traditionally focused on direct-to-consumer sales, what factors should be considered when evaluating the potential benefits and challenges of transitioning to the B2B sales model?
Okay.
I was really proud of
So-
that question. That's why I had to read it.
Yeah. So to clarify, B2B stands for business to business. That can be also done for service-based businesses, but right now we're going to first talk about maybe product. So when you have a product, it's crucial that you have very, very, very good relationship with your manufacturer, distributor, suppliers, right? Those are the people. You can always replace the customers. In that supply chain, if I had, a graphic to show you that I always show in my classes or workshops, I would show you that, yes, customers are not most important. First of all, you're the most important part of the business. But if you're buying raw ingredients, parts, whatever, and you're adding value, putting them together, and then selling, you are depending on suppliers. So the health of your suppliers and that relationship is number one if you want to scale. The people that brought you, even if you've been in business for 5 years and you're thriving and all of a sudden you want to go and pitch to Target or even local mom and pop shop, you are not going to be able, most likely, or those same suppliers are not going to bring you to the next step. So people that brought you to one step, it's okay to leave them behind if they don't have capacity to, so even if you have the money and if they don't have enough to sell to you, then you kind of have to not leave them behind, but find the replacement and then also find the replacement, or should I say backup to the backup. So I call that 3 deep. So main supplier, backup, and then backup to the backup, okay? That's number one. So you can't do, if you're in product-based business, you're always buying something from somebody. So you have to take suppliers number one. Then you have to really see, and this is super easy evaluation, and this is what we call a keystone pricing model. If you're selling a product, whatever widget you're selling, at let's say $20 on your website, retailers most likely want to buy that from you for about $10. I had them buy as low as $8 and as expensive as $12, right? Because of different pricing models that they had. And your cost, if you are selling them to them at $10, so again, going from 20 retail to 10 wholesale, your cost of goods and cost of sales, which is everything else that goes into running a business, should really not be more than $5. This is super simple. Please don't hold me to it. Your businesses are probably very individual how you go about it. So if you want to sit down, we can do one-on-one and then really do a cost analysis for your business to make sure you're ready for wholesale. Often, it's not the product. Okay, you have an amazing product. Awesome. It's so when the buyer's evaluating you, they're looking at your capacity. Like, how many can you sell to me? In what period of time? What's your lead time? What's production capacity? And that's when they decide they want to do business with you. So it has to be, again, back to alignment. I grew. In 2003, when I launched, when I got tired of people just waiting for people to come to my kiosk to buy from me, I started going to the retail stores. As a matter of fact, in Old Town region, I used to sell my $5 hats. And I've seen that the more I sell, the brand grew, and I could give them discount if they're buying larger quantity. I literally was selling out of my truck, no joke. I got in an SUV so that I can sell out of the truck. But we imported those from overseas. Our price point at that point was $1.73, landed cost, plus cost of warehouse and all the other stuff. So you have to kind of see when you're really good and ready to go. Now, fast forward 3 years later, when I found my very big national and later on international account. That buyer had a capacity to give me, which will later become $1.6 million in retail pricing. She waited 3 years to give me that kind of money, meaning she wanted us to match the capacity. So little by little, I had to prove myself. Deliver one order to San Diego location, then delivered in West Coast, then deliver all over the country. And then she took us and brought us literally all over the world. So, like, even when you're doing everything right, they're just for the fact that they can give you all kinds of, millions of dollars in business, it's still gonna be, controlled growth. And actually, that's what you want. I learned so much from my buyers. Again, when I was selling my merchandise on wholesale basis from them. So, start small. You don't have to go thousands of stores and locations and stuff like that. As a matter of fact, I would say just San Diego is so beautiful and it's so big and there's so much money to be made here, trust me. So just start small, start local, okay? I hope that gives it value. And do you have any questions? Anyone? Come on. They're too shy?
Yeah, maybe at the end.
To sit with it a little bit. Next question is for Jess. What are some common limiting beliefs that you often encounter in your clients that hinder their ability to generate revenue and scale their businesses?
Okay, so I think there are sort of two layers to this conversation, and I think it depends on what stage you're in. I think the first one is sort of the overarching limiting belief that sales is like some kind of necessary evil of doing business. And a lot of people jump into entrepreneurship with that feeling and with that belief, and that has to be dealt with. There's no way around it. It has to be reconciled, that you understand that there is a path to a sales process in integrity, that's aligned with your values, that's aligned with your mission, and that doesn't compromise what you truly believe in. The second piece of that is drilling down, and this is for everyone in the room, whether you've been selling millions and millions of dollars or whether you're in your first couple of digits of sales at this point. And that actually circles back to a word that Diana just used, is capacity. So to grow your sales requires mental and emotional capacity, and you must invest in that. You must build those skills and you must invest in that capacity in order to overcome some of the common things that come up. People pleasing, overthinking, fear of rejection. I mean, it's like name of the game with selling, right? But those kinds of things have to be dealt with. And the good news is they can. The important thing to understand is that you're not alone if you're facing those things, but investing in those is the key, knowing what they are and having command over them so that you can disarm those limiting beliefs that are really common that you're not alone with. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I've definitely felt all of those things. I'm sure a lot of people here have. Eduardo, it's your turn. What are some of the most common pitfalls you've observed in organizations that are struggling to scale their sales operations? I know you've looked at a lot of different businesses.
But it's funny, it doesn't matter the experience. I think right now in this last 30 minutes, it's already been stated, maybe differently, etc. But there's 2 points, human capital and process. I mean, we've talked about it. You've got to invest in your people in order to maximize the potential of the organization. Unless you want to be the only person in your company, which a lot of people are okay with, if you want to grow your company, you have to invest in hiring the right person, in promoting the right person, and in training them collectively. You've got to give them a reason to stay. I mean, we're evolving as a commercial country every day. The new generation back there thinks differently about the jobs they want to get. It used to be you stay at the same job 20, 30 years, get a pension, etc. Then it was I'll do a little bit of this, and COVID hit and everything went everywhere. But you've got to understand that this generation that's there to work on your payroll, they need to be incentivized, maybe not only with money, but in different ways. And I'm not saying go Google style and have video games and lounges, although you get to, where's the massage guy there? You can get to that. You can do all that for your employees, obviously that's great, but invest in your human capital. They are the biggest recourse you have, in terms of growth and being able to scale. There's nothing like having a good manager that's gonna be there when you decide to take this one coffee shop to across town and have another one and continue to grow that business. The other one is process. And once again, we've talked about this, is, hey, listen, Excel is great. It helps a lot. It's there when you need it. But if you really want to scale and grow your business, you need to invest in process. That it means automation. It could be a CRM, it could be lead generation, some marketing collaboration. There's a lot of different types of process there. And I'm not saying go all in and invest in Salesforce, first of all. Salesforce is one of the best CRMs out there, but you've got to be, in my opinion, a company that has 100 million a year in revenue to really be able to maximize what they offer. So it doesn't make sense. Right now, there's plenty of CRMs that are well within the capability of small and medium-sized business, $1,000 a year in terms of license. Some of them are free. So experiment with them and utilize them, but you've got to automate your processes. Otherwise, you don't know. As you scale your business, there's two other people besides the sales guy that you should love. One is your CFO, your finance person, and the other one's the operations. And the best thing when you automate the process is sales will generate, finance will be happy because they know when the cash is coming in, and operations are going to be happy because they know how many products to manufacture to sell. So that's the way to scale. It's laying the foundational work towards growing big.
Just to pick on that a little bit, and anyone can chime in, if you're thinking of like a service-based business, what could be some of the pitfalls in scaling?
So when it comes to service-based scaling, I think one of the things is that the immediate thought tends to go to more is more, right? And immediately thinking about, well, if I want more revenue, I'm going to serve more people and I'm going to use this same model. And honestly, a lot of the clients that I've worked with, when they have the biggest jumps in scaling revenue, is they start with less. Where can I be more efficient? Where can I be more effective? Where can I create more capacity to serve and be incredibly thoughtful and intentional first? Then I can decide what I want to add. I think it's so easy to default to, well, if I want more money coming in, I have to do more things and add more people. And in many cases, you can scale revenue without doing any of that. I've had plenty of service-based clients scale revenue by doing less. So it's very important to look at that first.
Maybe some thoughts on that, because I feel like I was in product-based business before, but now being a consultant, I'm in a service-based business. A couple of ways to scale service-based business is to actually create a product, course, booklet, ebook, something, downloadable, something, even if you're going to charge for videos and they're not going to be free on Facebook or on YouTube, you have to possibly have a product. And then scaling with human capital, where you basically hire people to do and train them to do your way, except for you are negotiating, you're a producer for your company, you paying them a fair wage or whatever you think that the company can afford, and then you are pretty much taking the difference. But I'm definitely with Jess 100%, and that goes back to increase your prices. So when you're an expert, and when I tell you that, oh, I have 20 years of retail wholesale experience, and the last year that we were in business, my business brought in 8 million in revenue, just us and 100 other employees, not just the two of us as our business partners. Yeah, I'm not going to charge you $30 an hour to talk to me. It will be $125. Maybe it should be $150, maybe $175, maybe $250, okay? You know what you're gonna get in 3 hours from me? We're gonna probably be done, and maybe you're gonna see me again in 6 months. I'm not there to take you on for like a retainer or engage with you forever. So maybe that's what you meant when you said, okay, the capacity, it's also, it's my time. So when you're in service-based business, and if it's just you're really kind of starting with trading off time for money, like somebody's paying you hourly, and you have to really see what clients you want to work with and how much they want to pay you. And that is actually, I thought that the product-based business was bad and people are undervaluing their products, but boy, do they undervalue their service. Ooh, it just pains me. It pains me to see. And it does come from, low self-esteem, imposter syndrome, and a whole lot of other BS that we picked up along the way, which is really sad. But yeah, that's my 2 cents.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so just to make a pivot to something more practical, we talked about being stagnant in sales sometimes, and sometimes you don't realize until you're already in the hole, and you didn't realize it coming, you didn't see it coming. But what are some key metrics that small businesses should track and analyze to assess the effectiveness of their sales efforts, identify areas of improvement, and make data-driven decisions?
Well, I think Yana said it best, profitability. I mean, it's easy to track, I shouldn't say easy, but everybody wants to track sales, what's coming in, what's in the pipeline, et cetera. But, sales guys, we're a particular bunch. We don't necessarily think about profit. but you're the business owner. You need to be thinking about profit. So whatever you do, make sure that there's some kind of plan, some kind of process that goes hand in hand with sales. Listen, we will generate the revenue, but that doesn't necessarily mean equal to profit. Profit is a lot of other things, and sometimes when your company stagnates, it's not necessarily because your sales are stagnating, it's because your profit is not there. Increase your prices, reduce your, it's the 101 of business management.
Agreed, yes, 100%. Maybe also, while you're starting and you're just like, okay, maybe in first 1 or 2 years of business, either product or service-based business, you kind of need to know, first of all, that capacity. Like how many widgets can you crank out and what can you sell them for? And then you kind of project the sales. I have a very simple spreadsheet where you can project how many widgets are you going to sell, what's the cost, and then what's the cost of sales. And then you can even see if unless you're in business already, but you should be doing this before you even get into a product to see if this is viable for you. Because too many people are heart-led and then they go into product or service-based business because the heart pulls them. And then they kind of like go back to the drawing. They're like, oh, okay, this business is costly. I have to rent a space. It's, I have to hire people. I'm not charging enough. And then again, yes, like it was said, it's not profitable sales. So it looks good on paper, but it's really like when you all add it all up. So it does speak to that capacity, and what Jess was saying, sometimes the less sales on pay, or like literally in the bank, can bring you more profit. So you have to really be cognizant of what are the profitable sales and what are the sales overall, okay?
Yeah, and I want to expand on the context of a service-based business. So you need to know your numbers. It's something to not be afraid of. And from beginning to end in terms of process, number one is your lead flow. Where are your most effective leads coming from? What are the segments of the market that are the best levers to pull? So often when I'm working with clients, when we simply review their lead flow, their basic conversion, where their most recent clients came from, they realize there's money on the table. There's money on the table that they weren't paying attention to, either because they didn't know their numbers, or they lost track of them, or they weren't looking at them, or maybe they were scared or something of that nature. So paying attention to lead flow, what levers to pull, and make sure that you're not missing or neglecting any follow-up and conversion. Yeah.
There's so many good nuggets there. But I think if I was to summarize, right, you have that main equation, right, of profit. You have revenue minus. Maybe I shouldn't talk. Maybe you should explain it. Can one of you just give the main equation of running a business? Profit equals
Your revenue minus your expenses.
yes, and so
We're going really fundamental.
like real fundamental, right? In a small business, we have to become the CFO sometimes, right? And that's something that you have to keep in mind at all times, because like they said, you're driving sales, you're getting more clients, you're doing all these things, but at the end of the day, you might not be profitable. And that's something to keep an eye out for. Okay, this question is fun. If you could make one rule that every entrepreneur in the room would have to follow, what would that be? As far as like their business.
Don't do it alone. Don't do it alone. Please talk to somebody. Today, tonight, you are, and this is how I start all of my classes, I'm starting to be very Alejandro, you can attest to that. But I'm really starting when I'm teaching my classes to be a little more mindset minded, to set this tone for my classes when I'm teaching, so that I tell my clients, when you come through that door and you sit down, this is a safe space, you are among friends, and this is business owners. Those folks that are outside, those soccer moms or stay-at-home dads, I have nothing against them, I love them, but they're not our friends in business. I'm sorry. Don't talk to them about business. Don't ask for the advice. Don't tell them what you do. Just say, yeah, I have my little business, and then just walk away. But talk to somebody knowledgeable. Talk to a coach, consultant, even if it's free, even if it's, again, somebody that is 3 steps ahead of you. 3 steps. It means so much. Surround yourself with other business owners. We're in a world that are very little people are business owners, and very little people stay in business, and very little of us are serial entrepreneurs, okay? So find yourself like a mastermind group of some kind or something where you can thrive and you can be yourself as a business owner, okay? Please. Thank you.
That's good. I like all that. Well, I guess the one rule I would say is know your customer. I mean, it's how many books have you read or have been written about that? But it's it's 101. The customer is not a static person in time. It's constantly evolving. their tastes are evolving. Nobody's getting younger. They're all getting older. So obviously there's an evolution there. How do you deal with that as a business, maintaining your core value proposition, being dynamic and understanding there's other people trying to get that customer as well? To Diana said, your customer can be replaced. Yeah, guess what? You can't replace customers. That may not be a nice thing to say because we all live for our customers, but this is a business transaction. We're all out to give value to one another, and ultimately, you still need to know that customer in order to exercise your business. So that's what I would say.
Okay, mine is going to be a little more philosophical, of course, and it is that you must commit to radical self-awareness. If you want to be an entrepreneur, and most of you already know this, it's like buckle up, right? You are going to be confronted with all the things. And if you are willing to do that, then you will move through them and you will grow through them. But like Diana said, get help and get support. Don't attempt to do it alone because you don't know what you don't know. Sometimes you don't even know what question you should be asking, right? So get around people who have been there, who can support you, who you can trust, and who you can be vulnerable and open and honest with.
I love that because everybody has already solved most of the problems, right? Like somebody's done it, somebody's gone through the exact same thing you're going through, so just seek help. I love that. And of course, attending events like this is also a great way, to get knowledge from people. First, let's give them a round of applause, please. And it is time for Q&A.